And in the end, she was like, oh, that doesn't really suit like the direction that we're going in. So we were like, I was like, yeah, we absolutely love this track.
You're like, perfect.
Yeah.
All good. Awesome. I appreciate you doing this. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. How you doing?
Doing well. I'm doing well. My name's Adam, and this is about the both of you and your journey in music. I want to talk about how you guys met, and then the record you have out, which has both of you on it, and other various projects you have going on.
Cool. Sounds good.
Sweet. Well, Steve, where were you born and raised?
I'm from.
And how were you born? Cesarean section or
aliens? I was born and raised in Portsmouth on the south coast of England. Brought up in the centre of town in Fratton, quite a little rough part of town, but it was cool, and I lived there until I was 18. And then when I was 18, I moved to Spain and became a DJ. I got a residency in Spain when I was there on holiday, and then left, and then to the Murcia coast. And then I came back after 6 months because I was playing like funky house and it destroyed my soul. So then I came back to Portsmouth, back in with mum and dad. And then I joined a band, started playing keyboards again. And then I moved to London when I was 21.
Oh man. Okay. So did you start off on keyboards or keys?
Yeah, I started off on keys when I was about 11, and then kind of gave that up when I was 14 because I actually learned on an organ, which is kind of uncool in my school to be playing an organ. So when I got to like 14, puberty was really hitting in. I kind of gave it up and thought I'd get a set of decks because that was cooler.
Oh, okay. So you started off playing organ? Was it like in the church or something? I mean, that's such
not in church, but like a church organ. Basically, in my school that I went to, my junior school, these music teachers came in and like gave a demonstration, I guess, of like, you can come and learn a musical instrument or piano. Well, it was piano. And then I took this little leaflet home to mum and dad and was like, can I go and have piano lessons? At first I was like, I'm not sure. Because as all kids, I was probably doing, like karate and then judo and then like mountain biking and then BMXing and then skateboarding all at once. And I was like,
oh, sure.
Maybe not. And then, so I took this little leaflet home for piano lessons. And then after a couple of weeks, mum was like, okay, all right, let's do it if you really want to do it. And then, but all the piano lessons and keyboard lessons were fully booked. The only option they had was an organ. So I did that instead.
Oh,
that's
interesting.
So cool. I didn't know you were so cool.
That is cool. I mean, how much different is the organ from piano?
So my left hand dexterity isn't as good as a pianist, because when you learn how to play an organ, at least when you're learning, you keep your left hand very still, so you do all your chords with your left hand, and you usually do inversions. So like when I play a C chord, rather than going C E G, I go G C E automatically, because that's how you do it on an organ, because the root bass note you do with your foot on the C, so it'd be C.
Oh, interesting.
And then you go up an octave or two with your left hand, and then so you play the G, which is the fifth. And then
okay. So like when you started playing keyboard, was it hard to transfer that knowledge over, or was it fairly simple?
It wasn't too bad because I was just learning how to play Oasis, so that was pretty easy.
Okay. There you go. Awesome. And then you said you moved to Spain, or you went to Spain and ended up landing a DJ gig. So at 14, you started playing, or you started DJing with turntables?
Yeah, turntables, like vinyl. And then as I got a little bit older, the CDJ came out, and I got kind of like the basic kind of CDJ, whatever it was, 200 or something. I can't quite remember. I know. I thought it was super cool because it had a reverse button on it. I could play the song in reverse.
And how did you get the gig? Were you just went in and said, I know how to use this stuff, like, and I got a Rad Creator Records? Like, how do you land this residency?
So I was there on holiday, and they were kind of like doing up this bar club whilst we were there, and the bar bit was still open, but they're building like the club bit at the back. It was already there, but they're like doing it up. They're like renovating it.
Mhm.
So I was just talking to like the owners and like the bar staff and stuff, and they were like, and as towards the end of the holiday, I was like, well, have you got like a resident DJ like lined up? They were like, no. And I was like, well, I'll do it, because we've become really friendly. And honestly, they were just like, yeah, okay. Didn't hear me DJ at all, completely took my word for it. I could have completely blagged it. But luckily I thought I was a pretty good DJ at the time. And then I came back home. And then, well, actually, before I came back home, while we were on holiday, we like went to an estate agent to, you know, try and find somewhere to like live in short notice.
Mhm.
And then the guy was like, yeah, don't worry about it. I can get you a little flat, you know, around the corner. It'd be fine. It'd be cool. Don't worry about it. And then, so, you know, took his word for it, young, naive, and then go home, tell my mum and dad, by the way, I got a gig. I'm going to get a one-way ticket to Spain. And they were like, okay, all right.
Oh
Sounds a
wow,
bit-
they're all good with that. That's cool.
Yeah, they were pretty cool. Yeah, they were very like supportive. So, and then we then came to Spain, went straight to the estate agent, and then like didn't really have anywhere to live.
Oh wow,
Like,
the guy
I
lied to
completely
you?
messed up. Yeah, it was very bizarre. And then but my ex girlfriend, who I went there with, you know, from my childhood, from school girlfriend,
Mhm.
her, not her grandparents, like her great uncle, or I can't quite remember now, lived there, which is why I went there on holiday to like see some of
Oh,
her,
to visit him. Okay.
like some of her extended family. So because we already knew someone there, made things a little bit easier, but we didn't have anywhere to live. So we rang them, and the first night we stayed in like their small like apartment, and the next day found somewhere to live, and then started my 4 days a week playing funky house.
Wow.
And then like somehow you became an incredible producer between playing in Mercia and now. Like
Right. Yeah. Are you trying to learn how to produce all at the same time, or was that something
So
that something that started later?
no, so this was when I was 18. So I was meant to go to uni when I was 18 to do music production. I'd already done 2 years at college doing music technology.
Okay.
So I took rather than going straight to uni after college, I just took a year out, and then it only lasted 6 months in Spain. So I came back, and then I got a full-time job in HMV, which is a music store. Like it was a big music chain, and I was I was the chart and vinyl buyer. And this was like back in the day, not too old, not quite old school, because I'm not that old. And like in the 90s, it was very like people would, you know, the distributors would phone up the vinyl buyer on the phone and be like, listen to this song. But there was a few small labels in the South Coast that played like, I don't know, it was like happy hardcore. I can't remember what it was. It was like kind of not my bag, but it was like dance music that was popular on the South Coast. And they literally call me up and like play me a song down the phone. I felt so baller. I felt like such like man in charge. I'm like, yeah, we'll take 3 of those.
Oh, that's awesome. You're like a tastemaker for the store.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
yeah, was it Portsmouth or Southampton?
Portsmouth.
Portsmouth.
My arch enemy, nemesis. No, I'm kidding.
That's the other city.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
That's
Wow.
so cool.
That is so
Yeah.
awesome. Well, before I get over to you, Holly, I have one more quick question for Steven. I want to know what that thing is behind you that says break in case of emergency.
Oh, so that is a piece of art by someone called Ben Turnbull.
Okay.
Apparently, Harry Styles has one as well, so that's kind of cool.
That
But,
is cool.
I've had it for years, but it says an emergency break glass. I've got a
Oh
gun.
yeah, emergency like is that a gun in there?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought that's like what I could see the outline of, but then I wasn't 100% sure.
Is it a real gun?
No, it's like a toy gun. Be
Okay.
sweet if it was a real gun, though. Spray painted blue.
That's awesome. That's an awesome piece of art.
Thanks.
Cool.
One
All right.
brother was a fake that I made out of Invader. Sorry, Invader, but I made it out of Rubik's cubes.
Oh, nice. All right. So, born and raised in York. Is that what I saw?
I was born in York, but grew up in this little town just north of Liverpool.
Okay. Tell me
Yes.
about growing up there.
Very small town vibes.
Okay.
From the age of 14, I used to go out in Liverpool to the raves. I used to help put on parties, and I joined a band, and they were a lot older than me, and we made like ambient drone music, and that's where I started writing and producing.
What you said you're what, 14? Is that what you said?
Well, it all started at 14.
Okay.
And then 16 was like when the band started to get a bit of traction.
But at 14, you're putting together raves and parties?
No, I was going out.
Oh, you're just going out. Got you.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was sneaking out and going out. And then it wasn't until I was about 16 that I started to help put things on. Because I had friends who got older in university who were like running disco nights and stuff like that. So yeah, bit of a wild child.
Yeah. And what was the first instrument you learned?
Piano and classical guitar was like 5 or 6 years old.
Wow. Okay.
And then that led on to like oboe and a bit of drums and now bass. So I can kind of play like everything to a medium level. Like
okay. And but at 5 years old, you were playing piano and classical guitar?
Yeah, not very well if I look back.
Still.
But yeah, I was pretty tough by.
Was that something were your parents musical at all? Like what how did you get in both those instruments?
Yeah, none of my family. I guess I was just fascinated by music, constantly listening to the radio. So it just made sense to put me in for those. Okay.
And what did you play in the band? You said you started putting on parties and then you were in a band. Were you the singer?
Yeah, singer and producer, and kind of it was ambient drone music, so it wasn't like a full band. We had lots of like chaos pads and pieces of equipment and like just running things through loads of weird guitar amps. So it was a bit nutty. Okay. But that wasn't really working, and I didn't really feel like it was my vibe. So I created my own SoundCloud and put my middle name, Låpsley, and then uploaded some music that I just made on SoundCloud at home, on GarageBand, and then that went viral, and then I signed with XL, and then 9 years later,
here we are.
Yeah.
Wow. So you just put walk me through this viral thing. So you put their music up on SoundCloud and just not thinking anything of it, and then
yeah.
Okay, so how does the story go? I want to hear how this happened. This is so fascinating.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts actually. So I put it on SoundCloud and it got a bit of natural traction. I think started with like local artists picking it up, and then, I mean, one of the songs from that time, Billie Eilish talks about in like this Apple interview. Like,
oh my gosh.
One of the inspos for like Ocean Eyes. So it was it was like 2014. So it's quite a long time ago. Okay. And then I also uploaded the music on this kind of player for the BBC radio called the iPod, what's it called? Anyway, they have this system where you can like upload music and then they'll
I've heard about this. Yeah, like you can upload it there and then somebody will sift through it and you might get put on one of the channels, right? They'll just play it. Yeah,
like a board intern goes through
That's
it.
So crazy.
They picked mine up and it went straight from regional to Radio 1.
Oh
and then
my gosh.
On like the Annie Mac's Hot Water Bottle on a Sunday night, which was like this iconic chill show. Sick. Yeah, so it's pretty nuts.
That is so crazy. Like just having like a song like that go from SoundCloud to then you upload it to this thing and then it ends up on BBC One. Like what were you thinking when you see this go to BBC One? Are you like, oh my gosh, like this is so validating, I need to keep doing this? Or like what's your thought?
I think it was more intrigue. I don't think I'd gone through my life thinking that like music was an option. But it was something that always made me happy. I think I grew up, it was like, academics is the vibe. And I suited that, and that's what I was going to do at university. But it's funny now because I'm like, God, I could never do anything else. I am a writer, like that is, and I'm a nutty creative person. So it's really strange thinking about any other option. But yeah.
So when that happens, then the labels start reaching out, I imagine, right? XL reaches out to you and says, hey, like we heard your song and like it's on the radio, and like what was that like?
Is it so my emails, it's funny because I made this stuff on GarageBand, you know, it wasn't like with like a £90 mic, and it wasn't mastered or mixed or anything. I didn't know, so it's funny. Yeah, so they all started emailing me, and I was like, well, I'm in sixth form, like I've got exams, so I can't really come to London. So they all came to Liverpool, and like quite a few of them like met me outside college and took me for like a drink and like told me about things that they wanted to do, like, you know, put out an EP or an album or whatever. So it was all a bit surreal. And I think because my focus wasn't on music, it meant that I was quite balanced, and I just waited. And then before I knew it, I had like multiple record deals on the table. And then obviously went with the coolest because I was like, oh, J. Paul, you know what I mean? And signed a big publishing deal as well with Universal, which was kind of key to everything.
Okay. Because that what allowed you to write with other artists?
No, that's later.
Okay, sorry. So
only now do I, yeah. But just in terms of like financial, like to be able to move to London and obviously write the first record, you know, you need cash, and I wasn't a musician who was already from London with like rich parents and stuff. So you need to be able to take you into the city. You need like a bit of financial backing. So yeah, I haven't really looked back since.
That's so crazy. And then are you concerned at all, like when you have to put a record out now, like you're like, okay, this thing worked in the beginning when you really weren't, you were just doing it for fun, like to actually now like, you know, follow up with it, and now it's like a career and people are investing in you. Was that like something that you felt a lot of pressure with?
I think there's always that pressure, but I solved it by for the past few years I've been writing for other people and focusing on that as like kind of a career in parallel with the Låpsley project. And to be fair, the more success there is with that, the less commercial pressure there is on my personal project, and the happier I am. To the point where now like everything I do is on my terms, and now I'm not with XL anymore, and I'm releasing the next record with distribution, and it's just so freeing because I don't have to think about people putting money into me or how I'm perceived. It's just like this pure expression. Complete opposite.
Like in the beginning, like
yeah. And then if times get hard, you know, I write pop tunes for people, you know. So
okay. And when did you start doing that? Like what was the first artist that you wrote with, or the first like hit you had with somebody?
I wrote a track with Matilda Mann that came out last year. It's funny because it takes like a few years for it all to come out, and there's a whole load of songs that I've written with artists in the last year that are going to be coming out this summer. And then there was a big one that I wrote for Charlie XCX and
oh wow,
Jax Jones, which is called Out Out, where he sampled Stromae.
That's cool.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun, and that's kind of how like me and Steve met. To be fair, is through, like writer producer duo, working with artists.
So Steven, that's how you were writing with other people as well. Once you moved, did you move to London as well? Is that what you said? 21.
Yeah, I moved to London when I was 21, but not necessarily to be a songwriter. It was like I was in a band called Soho Dolls, and we're all based in London. But then I started sessioning and playing keyboards. But then probably the last, I don't know, maybe 6 years or so, I started to get into more songwriting territory. But I used to mainly tour and actually engineer, was my audio engineering, like recording bands and studios and stuff.
Oh, interesting.
And then
was that because you went to college? You said you went to university for that, or you were going to school for that?
So I did music production. After my gap year, I did study music production. But then in my second year, I dropped out because my band was signed. So then I moved to London. But then since now until that time when I moved to London, so I was kind of like, we stopped, although we just had a huge viral hit on TikTok. We've got like 76 million plays or something crazy.
Really? With Soho Dolls?
Yeah, a song called Bang Bang. Yeah, it's mad. The song is like 15 years old or something. It's like,
oh my gosh, I want to talk about that real quick. Hold on. That's crazy. So
oh my god.
Yeah.
Isn't that insane? That's
Yeah.
50, okay. So the song's 15 years old, and what, somebody found it and just did a thing to it? Like, tell me about this. It's nuts.
I don't know. It just just went crazy on TikTok. However, TikTok works, I don't really fully understand it. I guess someone at some point was doing like a dance, and then loads of other people started doing it with it. Yeah, completely random, completely random. Yeah, I don't really fully know how, because if I did know how, then I'd try and do it again.
But like with that, what's the so that happens, then what are people going to like, hey, is the band gonna get back together? Like what is the correlation to that and you?
Well, so we kind of like, the band kind of like stopped, but Maya, the singer, she kind of really is Soho Dolls. So she's actually just had a couple of tracks out as Soho Dolls, but it's just her now. She was the main songwriter, it was her band really.
Okay.
Yeah, but
that's so crazy.
Yeah, mad times. Yeah.
Down with the youth.
Huh?
Down with the youth.
I know, yeah, very bizarre.
Yeah, I interviewed this band that just got signed to, I think, Warner. They're called the Walters, and they broke up in 2014, and then they had this huge viral TikTok moment with one song, and then it was like they were like on a hiatus. Now they're back signed to Warner Records because of TikTok and a song blowing up on it that they released in 2014.
Wow, yeah, it's
such a weird app.
Yeah, very.
Okay, so you had viral success with a 14-year-old song, but anyway, so you're in London, and that was the project at the time, and then I'm sorry, where'd you go from there?
So from there, the band was kind of like ending, and then I started sessioning for Ladyhawke. Was kind of like my first kind of like step away from the band. So I played with Ladyhawke for years as a keyboard player, and then in between tours, I would engineer. So I got I don't know, I was basically like sweeping the floor at Metropolis Studios whilst on tour with Ladyhawke. But from working at Metropolis, I'd like learn, like all the ropes in the studio. I was like very at the bottom, like the assistant's assistant, and then kind of like I wasn't quite up to the assistant level there, but then from there I moved on to other studios, and then in between touring I would go and record bands. I worked at Metropolis and Strong Room Studios, which is in Shoreditch, both in London. Pretty cool studios. And then during Ladyhawke, I did like other bits of sessioning. I played with Charlie XCX because I knew her since she was like 14, 15.
Wow.
We used to put me and my friend Chaz used to put on these nights called Club Cool, and Charlie used to come and play when she was like 15, and she would come with her dad, and she would give me like the CDR for like the DJ booth, and she would just run on stage, and I just put the CDR into the DJ deck, hit play, and the first song that she had was called "I Want to Be Darth Vader," which is what she used to come out to, and it was so good. It was like bom 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 bom. This huge like electro clash beat came in, and she would run on stage just like going mental, and everyone knew she was going to be a star. She was like insanely talented. She was so good.
That's so rad. That's such a cool story.
Yeah, and then as she got signed and stuff, I was in I think in her second band when she went a bit more electronic for a short period of time. And then I played with various other people, and I played with Mikki Ekko, a guy from Nashville. I was his music director for quite a few years on both his records. And then I know loads of other people now, mainly. And then I joined Uncle, a band, which is James Lavelle, which is quite a heritage band.
Yeah, I know the band. You play in that band now?
Yeah, yes. The last record, the Ronin record, me and James did that, just me and him, and we're just about to start another record, probably like in June, July, I think.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So now I mainly juggle between Uncle, and then I was doing lots of songwriting and stuff, which is how me and Låpsley met. And then now I'm not doing as much of that because my artist project is actually doing pretty cool. So now I'm just doing Uncle, composition, and then like my artist project really. And like I'm still doing little bits of music directing. But yeah.
Okay. So that you two met through songwriting then, it sounds like.
Yeah.
and tons of mutual friends because we're all in the same scenes in East London. Yeah.
Okay. And then what, you just gelled together, or you just worked well, and so you decided to just start working a lot more? Or like, tell me about like how the relationship started. And I mean, you have your record's out, Steven, and Låpsley has a song on it, or a feature on it, and she was saying that you guys have other songs as well together.
Yeah, so we met. I used to have a studio in Finsbury Park, and I was doing like producing basically, like in a session. I'll be there, people come over to my studio, work with an artist, and then like Top Liner will come over and other musicians.
It was an amazing studio. I love that studio.
It was so nice.
Just like walls and walls of the most like incredible synths.
I've still got some of them in my little home studio now. Look.
Oh wow.
They're still here. Just in a smaller room now.
But
yeah.
Okay,
but
so
yeah,
then,
I love that.
So you worked sorry, go ahead.
I love that room, but then I moved here. I've got this house in Forest Gate, so I decided to put the studio in the house. But yeah, me and Låpsley, just, it was like so much fun. It didn't feel like we were like, I don't know, it was just like the biggest fun ever. We just be like sat at this like desk, just like jamming. It was just,
it was nice because, like, when we did sessions for the people, we always had like, because they were always late. I like to get there a bit earlier, so we had like 45 minutes, just us two, before like making some starters, and then we'd be like, oh, maybe we should work on this separately. So
oh, interesting. So you guys would be waiting for the artist that was going to come in to write with, and then you'd come up with stuff, and we're like, oh, we should just keep this for ourselves. We'll pick this up later. That's funny.
Yeah, basically.
Wow. Okay. So, well, I mean, the one song that you have on the record with Steven, that's obviously out, but you have what more songs that you've worked on together, and where are those going to lay?
They're kind of like,
aren't you?
Yeah, they're like with other kind of artists, I guess. Really, a lot of them now, that we wrote with, but yeah, we wrote with quite a few people. And sorry, my dog wants to get involved.
Oh, hey, dog.
Yeah, they're just kind of like, they're kind of like sitting with other artists, I guess, at the moment, and then like a little bank in my folder, a bank in my folder in my bank, whichever way around it goes.
Sure. So do you guys work together, and so now it's like, okay, we're going to come together and then work with this artist more as like a package? Or is it you have a session and you're like, oh, maybe Låpsley, you should come, jump on the session? Like, how does that work?
Do you want me to go? So it's funny because I didn't know this. I knew that Steve was working on his own projects, and when we'd go into work for the people, he'd play me some stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's sick. Mm-hmm. And we had a session with an artist, and obviously I was booked as like the top liner, Steve like writer and producer, and we came up with this song, which is basically like I used to, but with like a very different production. And obviously, there was like 3 pieces of the pie. We were like 2/3 of the pie. And in the end, she was like, oh, that doesn't really suit like the direction that we're going in. So we were like, I was like, yeah, we absolutely love this track.
You're like, perfect.
Yeah. So me and Steve got together after, and then we recorded the vocals, obviously all Steve's production, and just like went for it. And yeah, so it wasn't like originally set out to be for Steve's project. It was just something that we were doing together for another artist, and then we pitched it.
Oh. I like that. That's amazing. Very, very cool. Well, it's crazy. What do you guys both have going on now? I saw you've got a show coming up, right, Steven?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a show on the 25th of May, my first solo show.
Oh, really?
Oh my God,
yeah.
Where?
Where?
Yeah.
At the Social in London on the 25th of May. Yeah, I've obviously performed on stage hundreds and hundreds of times with other artists, but yeah, it's the first time it's just going to be me playing my own songs. A little bit nervous, not gonna lie.
Okay, I was gonna ask. So you're a little bit nervous. Do you have like a general show idea planned?
Yeah, I'm kind of like working on it now for the next couple of weeks. It's more of a technological nightmare. Like as in like setting it all up for like one gig, because I could go all in, or I need to be careful how much stuff I take with me on stage, I think. But I mean, I'm just programmed now. I'm kind of like rehearsing and having fun with it. Yeah. But yeah, it should be good.
Yeah, Steve doesn't just sit there at decks and press play, right? He has like all the analog synths, like he's got everything just popping. It looks like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, you know, with like all of these different machines. Absolute chaos, but organized chaos. So it's going to be like a proper live show, which is exciting, which I love for electronic music. It reminded me of like Over Mono's like live setup. Like lots of like live analog shit. So yeah,
that's incredible. That's awesome. What about you, Låpsley? What do you have going on?
Oh, so I've finished the 3rd record. That's going to be coming out later in the year. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled.
Amazing. Well, I appreciate you both being here today. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. I do have one quick question for the both of you. If I can get an individual answer, that'd be awesome. If you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Do you want to go first, or shall I?
Yeah.
I think mine's going to be quite simple. It's just kind of like, go for it. Just like do it. I think I kind of like worked in music, but now I've just kind of like decided, you know what, I am just going to do my own music, rather than like I was like worked in the shadows, I guess. So I think if you like really want to be an artist, I think just do it. My first song that I put out, I just did it all myself. Put it out on my own label, and yeah, I think just kind of go for it. Just don't be scared.
I love it.
Someone will like it. Someone out there will definitely like it.
Yeah, and it's not about like expensive equipment. That's a really important thing.
No.
Like I made my first things with GarageBand, a single, like awful keyboard, and a Samsung G-Track, like £90 mic. So if I can get signed to Excel off the back of that, then you know. And I don't have an uncle who works in the music industry. My advice, I would say, is actually have someone that you talk to that doesn't have a monetary involvement in what you're doing, and whether that's another musician, like a confidant, or whether that's like a family friend. It's always have someone involved in the team that isn't taking money off you, so that you can keep like a balanced head and make decisions that aren't directly, you know, financial decisions, not necessarily with someone who's invested financially with you.